by the so-called ABCFM, which was the American Board of Commissioners for Foreign Missions, which started the Foreign Missions School and bought this house as a residence for their steward. The steward was a house and grounds man, and his name was John Northrop. His wife Lydia and 7 children all lived in this old part of the house. The house was also the commons for meals for all boys in the Foreign Mission School, which generally ran no more than maybe 35, sometimes less. And generally they would come in here 3 times a day into probably this room, and it would be made in 2 rooms in these days. We don't know.
Yeah, actually, in 2012, went down to Rome, Georgia, visited John Regis' house. Good. I don't know.
I'm videoing this. Go ahead.
Yes, all right.
So,
Everybody's been set up on trestles in here. I got 3 times a day. 9 people living in the house. If they could get rid of them, they would then probably stack the trestles against the wall and the tabletops against that, and open up the space a little for a while. Its third function was as an infirmary for sick Foreign Mission School students, and thereby hangs their tail.
No, I don't know how to play.
I should tell you something about that.
I don't
All the
play.
floors
Yeah, so she got me into contact with Thad Rush, who owns
probably laid on
Running
the
Water.
original floors, because this is Douglas firs, and the original boards would have been
Wider.
much wider.
Probably pine.
Or chestnut.
Yeah, we went to Chattanooga
And whatever, whoever came in here had to modernize it throughout. Had to
Yeah,
put in
'cause I think we made the
bathrooms,
ridge out there
put
right
the
there in
pipes
Chieftains
under the
and stuff,
floor,
and,
all sorts of adjustments had to be made. But this was a very busy room,
I'm a good
3 times a day.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, but yeah, Running Water was neat. The guy said that he had the wood in the house carbon dated to like the 1770s, so it was definitely John Regis' house. I mean, and
Was it a fine old house?
yeah, it was.
This was probably,
And I
it was a small bedroom, obviously. It was probably the office of the steward, John Northrop.
This guy found that certificate, and I found it all.
Because this is the classical federal layout of the building of this era. Central hall with a stair, generally 2 rooms on the inside, kitchen at the back.
I'd love to get this house into some sort of conservation, a museum, conservation.
Now, let me just, are they coming through that way?
No, they're not. No.
Let's go this way.
Writers.
Excuse us.
You're gonna go to the living room, the kitchen?
We're heading for the kitchen.
Excellent.
Before you go, just to show you,
Okay.
these old doors,
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of history down there.
this is a 20-inch wide board.
It was really interesting.
All the ironware on these big doors
It's amazing that people are interested in
is the authentic stuff.
Oh yeah.
And in here,
Yeah.
people here.
we come
We have so many bridges here right now.
into this is the end of the old part of the house here.
Okay.
There's your kitchen.
Oh, this was the kitchen.
So
The fireplace is not very deep, but it's nice and tall, so you can mess with it. And the cupboards on the side were useful. Over there is the baking oven on the top. I know that in those days they used to keep things that might freeze, which apparently reflects the climate of the house, like ink, were kept next to the chimney so they would not freeze. All the ironware, the chains, and these little slices that look like,
Are they for boiling water?
I think they were raising and lowering
Oh, I see.
things at the time. It gives you a gradation of
Yeah.
the slices of soapstone are bed warmers so that they could be heated and popped into between the sheets. Hey, Ed, hi there. I'm sure you've seen this song before. Yes. So,
Was the door there the front door? I guess it
the
was,
door that
right?
came in was the front door.
Oh, so this was a back door?
All these houses had a big front door and a big back door directly behind it with a corridor and a stairway.
Nice.
It's not used
So that
much.
door was, this was a wall here.
When they extended it, they did it all in that direction.
Right.
Good morning, Amy. Now, whilst we're here, I want to read you something. The Foreign Mission School, as you know, was composed of in all, about 100 boys. Nobody knows exactly, and some of them didn't stay long because work was arduous. And not only was there cutting and splitting wood and farming the farms, but they also had to lay the pipe that ran from the hill behind the town hall there down into the village. The boys dug the trenches and laid the pipe. We have a piece of the pipe in the Historical Society there.
From Springs or?
From the Springs. And the pipe went to this building, and it went to the principal's house, which is opposite the new library.
Okay.
And the pipe was a clay pipe?
It was a piece of lead hammered around a pole. We have a piece on display right now in the corner in the library.
Okay.
The boys laid this, and they didn't get any water themselves in the house where they lived, which was down opposite the church. There's a stone there, a birthday bush, and a plaque on it. That's where the actual school was. They didn't get any water or luxury for themselves. It was all for the headmaster and the steward. How about that?
How deep was the trench?
I don't know. I don't think anybody does. But no doubt when somebody goes fooling around with the backhoe, they bring up pieces.
Bring it up.
So the Rumsey Hall School was next to where the Foreign Mission School was? The former Rumsey Hall that was torn down.
It was across the street, but it was in a completely different era. I think the Foreign Mission School was a small building, domed, and it had. We have pictures of it. We even have a model of it in the Historical Society.
Yeah.
But let me read you something of note about this kitchen. The boys. This was written by Herman Daggett. Herman Daggett was principal of the school, and he was beloved, no doubt about it. His pupils loved him. Cherokee wrote about him very enthusiastically. We have a letter written in 1823. Now the school had been open from only about 6 years. He wrote it back to the ABCFM. He did not publish it around here. I wish to call to your attention a subject which appears to be nearly connected with the welfare of the Foreign Mission School. The steward has generally had a girl or young woman as cook in his family. Somebody had to. Who is, of course, much in the company of the scholars when they go to their meals, work about the house, or occasionally visit the kitchen at other times. 2 years ago, a case occurred of improper intimacy between the hired girl and one or two of the colored boys. Now, the last sentence, they were scholars, but when they got here, just the next sentence, and they began hanging out with one of the local girls, then they became colored boys. That switch in language tells you so much about why the mission school eventually failed.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not all.
So
but
say that
that's
again.
one.
They started off as what in his language?
The steward has generally had a girl or young woman as cook in his family, who is, of course, much in the company of the scholars
Oh, the scholars.
when they go about their meal.
But they don't say what color,
No,
No,
just
nothing.
the scholars.
Yeah.
There were, as a matter of fact, American scholars too.
Right.
There was quite a group of Americans getting trained.
but that was a big word about class.
That's right. The students,
Class.
the scholars.
Yeah.
And then 2 years ago, a case occurred, we have no other record of this,
Yeah.
of improper intimacy between the hired girl and 1 or 2 of the colored boys,
I see.
which gave us a great deal of trouble. And resulted in the necessity of sending the girl away. We now have another
Punish the
case of
girl.
this kind. Now, this was written in 1823. We now have another case of this kind, which I fear may be of very serious consequences to one of our most promising Indian scholars, we're back to scholars, and indeed to the reputation of the school. And he was right, because that was the romance started upstairs in the sick room in this building, where John Northrup's daughter Sarah nursed one of the Indian boys who had scrofula and ailed for 2 years. She cared for him. And in 1824, despite terrible uproar, they married.
Yeah. So he was cured, and
He was cured. The parents said, you can't marry her unless you go away and come back cured, which he did. And then-
Where'd they go to?
unless he goes.
unless he went back home,
Right.
Where's home?
Georgia.
George.
And
He was Cherry?
his first cousin, named Elias Budnat, was also here. And 2 years later, he married one of the Gold girls.
Right.
So it was catching.
Yes.
But it destroyed the foreign mission school
Right.
to have that.
Yeah. They had riots in Torrington. They had riots in Torrington.
I don't know if they had riots in
I-
Torrington.
Yeah, in Torrington.
How do you know that?
I read it in
This is
Lakeview
probably the most
Journal
interesting
10
part
years
of the tour, because this is the
maybe-
kitchen
They
in which
They
all the
certainly
meals
had
were
a certain
prepared
amount of
for the
rioting
students
here.
and the faculty.
They had a riot on the Green.
And there
Oh,
were,
they did?
you know, what we call
This was
living
at
room here.
the time of the
There were
second one.
Right.
30 to
So this
some odd
kitchen
people with faculty, students,
is
and
the
all the
site
staff.
of
We're coming
this
3 meals a day.
sliding and
The school was
slipping from
originally
one
on the site of
attitude
the
to
Lutheran church
another.
Right.
You know, we want these
And
boys,
that's since
but we don't have them stick
disappeared.
around.
Right. And what was
it was
the
demolished.
disease that he had? Scapula or something? you said?
Scrofula, which is tuberculosis of the bone.
The students live
Yeah.
upstairs at the school
Now,
in the gambrel roof,
there
and they
are
study in the
various
classroom down below, but they took their
descendants of
meals
that
here
man
Yeah.
here today.
hired help
These two,
to come in and cook, but the eldest
And
daughter
his
of the
daughter
steward, Sarah Norfolk,
no,
was taking
of
meals
Sarah Norfolk and
upstairs in
John
the
Ridge.
smallest room
And
that you
there
can
are
find
others.
upstairs.
This is
It's
Ridge
probably where
Brown.
John
And
Yes.
it's been a while,
Yes.
7 years.
right along
Yes.
Thank you for the information, I appreciate
But
that.
he was extremely bright.
Glad
His
to
cousin
supply
would bring
it.
him all his,
It just never ceases to fascinate.
and he was the son
Where we go now?
of Cherokee.
Well, I'm finished with you because this is the modern part of it.
Okay.
And it's fascinating and big,
And
but
his cousin, Elias
Yeah.
Budno, both these
And
two
then
young
this
men
was added on
married
by
little girls. And
what
this started
family?
with a couple.
that I don't know. But it's been occupied ever since. It's never
Right.
been a school
Right.
anymore.
Okay. Now was John Ridge a native?
He was a Cherokee.
Cherokee?
And his from the Watie family, W-A-T-I-E, his first cousin Elias Budnat took the name of a benefactor who paid for him. So his original name was Buck Watie.
Ah, I see.
So the Ridges and the Budnats have come back to Cornwall. And it was very
Yes.
exciting.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for listening so patiently.
And
to
what
all
about,
I-
Right.
is there anything upstairs?
There is. Now, that's important because the sick room is upstairs.
Are we allowed to see?
You are, and
It's amazing how many students we have.
That'll be part 2 for this.
Ben Jr. is up there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
They're coming back.